Good morning. Imagine what if. I would like to give you a little bit of an overview of what entrepreneurs and startups can do in fighting and addressing some of the challenges that we are facing today. In 2009, two entrepreneurs and innovators, Jonathan Sitter and Alec Drumden from BioLite, asked that question: what if there wouldn't be the necessity for 4 million premature deaths every year because of cooking over firewood, basically inhaling all the black carbon? And they came up with a cook stove, the picture you see here, that is very efficient, reduces the consumption of firewoods, reduces the emission of black carbon as well. They've went a step further and optimized the flow of the burner in such a way that it created excess energy. There are many of these stoves around. This one creates enough energy that you can actually plug in a light or charge a mobile phone. There are about 3 billion people worldwide who are still spending an enormous amount of energy in the search for electricity and energy. And then went even one step further and looked at a business model where you can buy here in retail in the US and everywhere the retail version that the proceeds for this will then go and fund the ones that go in sub-Saharan Africa or India. What if? Imagine what if. These innovations are available and possible today because you have a lot of entrepreneurs and young people, young generations that look at these challenges that we face, that have a very specific need and see the need in their communities, a social need or an environmental need. At the same time, they look at this and realize that today the access to technology is so much easier than it's been only many years ago, or maybe only 10 years ago or 5 years ago. I quite like what Christina Figueres says, and I share with her the optimism. We will look back at this moment as a remarkable transformation, as the indisputable turning point of this century. Imagine what if. So you may be asking, what does Autodesk, a software company, has to do with all of that? Autodesk is a 30-year-old software company started in 2D engineering, CAD software. Today we have over 100 products in the areas of architecture, the built environment, manufacturing, and media entertainment. As a software company, we have a very small carbon footprint. We have about 100 products, as I said, but overall we have millions of users, architects, designers, engineers who use these tools to build the building, to plan a city, to build a car that drives on the streets that are planned, to use a mobile phone, and so on. So the opportunity for us as a software company is to look at what best can we provide to have an impact, potential impact on billions of people, and that is through our users that make all these buildings and all the products that are being used. If there's one way of making this more efficient, more sustainable, then the impact that everybody can enjoy by using these products is tremendous, and that is the opportunity. Autodesk's vision is imagine, design, and create a better world. And when we say a better world, we actually mean that by 2050, 10 billion people live well and live within the means of this planet. But that's quite a really tall order of a vision, especially if you think of the 10 billion people that there will be there. 95% of them will be within a day's drive of a city. 70 to 75% actually will be in urban dwellings. There will be a middle class of 5 billion people, 2/3 of it in Asia Pacific. And all of this requires twice the energy that we have today. So who is designing the solutions for this type of future. And again, imagine a future where everybody lives well and lives within the means of this planet. So these are the architects, designers, and engineers. What we can do as a company, we can embed sustainability into our products. So when somebody designs a building, he understands what the energy consumption of that building is. We lead by example. We can do employee and pro bono activities. We just committed to going renewable 100%. We also pledged the American Business Act on climate. The other thing that we do is invest in impact designers, so companies and individuals that are tomorrow's customers, that build tomorrow's products that our children will use. And a quick example of what the software can do today. A dial indicates to you what the energy consumption of the building is and whether it complies with the Architecture 2030 standards or benchmark. We set out and try to find partners that we work with. This is just a small cross-section of what we've been starting to do in China. But most importantly, what we do is we have a program in place that had evolved into the Autodesk Entrepreneur Impact Program. So this is a program where entrepreneurs and innovators can apply to, and entrepreneurs who create a social, environmental, positive, scalable impact. They can apply to this program and then receive up to $150,000 worth of software for free, the same software that big companies use to make the buildings and the products that we use today. So imagine what if there is transparency in the air pollution, the air that you breathe. Here's a company out of France, in Paris, called Plume Labs. They make devices and an app that basically tells you the pollution air quality. They're one of these customers that use our tools to create their products. Imagine what if it's possible to refurbish public transport from polluting diesel engines to hybrids without having to buy an entire bus. Vantage Power in London does that. They have a hybrid drivetrain that reduces the emissions by 40% of a regular bus and reduces the cost for the company who runs the bus. At the same time, you don't have to buy a new bus, you just exchange the engine. Imagine what if there is proper garbage separation in China. Typically today, there isn't in many places, in many cities. So there's this company in Chengdu called Green Earth that developed a system that has barcodes, that provides barcodes on trash bags, and the program is already running with 80,000 families, and it's increasing. It gives rewards to families when they do garbage separation. The garbage cans itself read the barcodes and give out micro rewards to these families that will summarize over time. It is one way of focusing on overcoming and building that awareness that what we throw away are potentially resources that can be used again. Imagine what if children can go to school or do their homework not with candlelight, but with actually real light that is healthy for the eyes. This is a company in China as well, DX Element. They make a very easy to assemble. You just put this together, light, an LED light with a solar on top. 2 hours of daylight are sufficient for 3 hours of reading light. So currently 2,000. This company is not even a year old, and 2,000 children already have this light in China, being able to do their homework in their villages that are off the grid. Imagine what if you could take water plastic bottles. Well, first of all, you shouldn't use them in the first place, but we are. If you take that plastic and reuse it again. There's a Toronto company called Reditech that uses this plastic and makes it into filaments for 3D printers. So these are 4 examples. Later on in the panel, another one of our customers will be on it, Flotility. Oliver Risse is here. All these companies look at this, and hopefully we are really moving forward very quickly on imagined design and creating a better world. Thank you.